Hi guys, so there is a general consensus amongst many people that high octane fuel, or rather fuel with high RON rating, gives you better performance from your engine. So in this video, I'm going to dive behind the science of it and also to explore under what conditions that this argument is valid versus when it isn't.
Marvelous. Artificial intelligence skin.
Now, since you're a viewer of this channel, I'm going to assume that you know a thing or two about the basics of a 4-stroke engine. But just in case you don't, I've ripped off this animation from Wikipedia to help you refresh your mind. Now, focusing on the compression stroke, this is when all the valves are closed, the piston moves up, and basically what happens, the air-fuel mixture in the combustion chamber is squeezed to just a fraction of the original volume. Now, the science behind the stroke simply is that when you increase the pressure of a gaseous system, the temperature goes up along with it. It is the reason why the kitchen of every Chinese auntie has a pressure cooker, because high pressure correlates with high temperature. Now, moving on to the power stroke. This is when the engine, as its name suggests, generates all its power, and it is triggered by the spark plug igniting, creating a controlled combustion of the air-fuel mixture, from which the expansion of the gases inside there forcing the piston downwards. Now, it is important to note that this is a controlled combustion and not an explosion, there's a reason why it's called the internal combustion engine and not called the internal explosion engine, because the smooth burning of the air fuel mixture is essential to ensure the smooth running of the engine. In order to extract maximum performance from your engine, the timing of the ignition is therefore crucial, because you want to start the burning of the fuel the moment the piston starts to move downwards. Therefore, the ideal time for ignition for maximum performance is just after the piston starts to move downwards, which means that the engine is generating power for as great a proportion of the piston's downward stroke as possible. So there are two reasons why it is desirable for an engine to run on high compression. Firstly, it is during the compression stroke where you can get the combustion chamber to a higher temperature, which therefore primes it for better, more complete combustion. Secondly, with a higher compression ratio, what it means is that the engine has a relatively longer power stroke and therefore a longer time for it to generate more power. So in an ideal setting, you want your engine to have as high a compression ratio as possible. But the problem is that when your compression is too high, it allows for a phenomenon called detonation. It means that the pressure in there is so high that the petrol simultaneously detonates without needing the spark plug to trigger the ignition, which is bad because these random detonations create shock waves inside the combustion chamber that disrupt the rhythm of the engine, that shocks the harmonics of the engine, and overall damages the engine and severely affects your performance. So over the years, car makers have learned many tricks to counteract the effects of knocking. Last time they used to put lead in the petrol to increase the resistance towards knocking, but of course we later on learned that lead is bad for the environment, so they banned that. Another measure that they use is to retard the ignition timing, which means they make the spark plug ignite later on in the power cycle. So what this does is that it shifts the moment of ignition to a point later in the power stroke when the pressure in the cylinder is much lower, and therefore it reduces the risk of detonation. But this has one flaw, because when you start the ignition later during the power stroke, what it also means is that the time in which the engine is actually generates power is reduced. So basically, high octane fuel or high RON fuel is more resistant toward knocking, which means that it won't randomly detonate in the combustion chamber, and it therefore allows your engine to A, safely run a higher compression ratio, and B, to run a more advanced timing, which therefore means during your power stroke there's a longer period of time during the stroke that the engine is generating power, which therefore translates to better performance from your engine. Now, most modern engines incorporate what they call knock sensors, which allow the engine to self-adjust the timing. So when it detects that the engine is knocking, you're running a lower RON fuel, it retards the timing. So therefore, so in the ECU of each of these modern cars, they would therefore have the manufacturer would therefore have programmed a range of timing options for the ECU to select, all right, and therefore when you look at the recommended fuel for your car, you would see that, oh, it can run from RON 91 to RON 98, for example. So therefore, the manufacturer has made allowances for you to run your engine from as low as RON 91, but you get best performance if you run it at RON 98. Now, to give you another example, let's say like there's this engine that's rated for RON 87 to 95, for example. So what this means is that when you pump RON 95, that is the point from which you get the best performance out of your engine. Can you pump RON 97? Yes, you can, but from RON 95 upwards, you will not be getting any gains in performance, because the engine is already made to extract maximum performance from RON 95 upwards. All right, so hope this video clarifies to you the significance of RON, and then it helps you decide better on what fuel to choose the next time you fill up your car. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Stay safe.
When I switched to pro mileage, in my case, I got 47% of savings for that time.
Pro mileage was the only one that gave me 5,000 extra value to cover, yet still cheaper, a lot less.
Turn up!